Mann zum Vokabelkursnipperl.
Good morning, Internet. Hello, world. This is Shawna with DisruptApps again. And I was reading through the Internet this morning, looking at the news, at the headlines, and people on YouTube. Well, once again, they're after our Internet. They're after the free and open and private Internet. And some things were happening over across the pond over in Britain with the Online Safety Act, and people were complaining about that on some videos. And here in America, we've got U.S. senators propose anti-piracy laws. So it's the same old battle. But this time around, it seems like they're actually cracking down and requiring people to age verify and send in their images of their ID, of their government-issued ID. And this is a battle we're going to have to fight as we, the working class, the 99%. We're going to have to fight this. And I just want to say that we have to build our own internet. And yeah, that sounds like a crazy idea, but it's really not. So what it's coming down to with this battle that we're having is that we, the working class, the 99%, and those of us who can run servers and write software and do web development, we have to take it upon ourselves to start building our own alternative systems. I mean, essentially, we're going to start having to build our own internet. And yeah, that sounds like a preposterous and like an impossible idea, but it is possible. And to some degree, they do it with the Onion routing system and that the Tor browsing. So it is possible. Watching the internet be attacked for its freedom and privacy is like one huge reason why I started DisruptApps LLC and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And right now, I'm not being paid for any of the work that I'm doing because this is passion and it's important to me to keep the internet free and open and to teach people how to do this. And as I said before, it seems like it would be an impossible task or a ludicrous task or a foolish task to all the trolls out there and the haters and non-techies who say, oh, you can't build your own internet, yada, yada, yada. Yes, we actually can. And it just takes effort and people out there who've got those skills to do it. And yeah, we can't go out there as as scrappy little companies and scrappy little open source people and people who believe in this kind of thing. We can't go out there and build a massive data center. We don't have the money and we don't have the resources. However, what we do have is we have old hardware out there that's cheap. We've got the skills. We've got the know-how. And sure, we don't have the actual backbone of the internet. We don't own the cables. We don't own the fiber optic cables. We don't own the data centers. Sure, I got that. But like I said, we have hardware. We can build our own system step by step, small steps. We can build our own system using the already existing internet to get started with. And that means running your own home servers and writing your own software using existing web development technologies, running your own LAMP servers or MERN servers on your own and connecting to the internet. And this is what it's going to come down to. This is what it's going to have to happen, is for us to retain a free and open internet, is for us free spirits out here to make sure it happens. And so with all that said, I want to expose people to some ideas they may or may not have heard of, especially if you're not a techie or a Linux person or a programmer or open source type of person. So the first thing I want to talk about is this thing called free and open source software, or FOSS. And if you're in the Linux community and into open source, you already know about this. But the FOSS philosophy is basically, let's make and keep open source software out there so we don't have to pay for proprietary software that robs us blind of our data and invades our privacy and costs an arm and a leg, when you can come out here and you can support developers who care about your privacy. You can support companies and developers who are passionate about security and privacy and encryption and not ripping you off. And look, code and software, it doesn't write itself. Yeah, sure, you can probably go into chat GPT and code something up, but that's not coding. You need people out here who've got the skills, and you got to support us. People out in the public who are looking for better solutions and better alternatives that are out there. You've got to come out here and support small-time developers out here who are willing to put in the good fight to keep open source and good quality software out there. So support us. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is a concept called decentralization. And I have this picture up here. And right now, the way that the world has gone, and I'm talking about both the analog and digital world, is we live in a centralized society. We live in a centralized economic system, whether you want to accept it or not, especially, people say, well, capitalism is free and open. Well, it is to some degree, but it's not. Because big tech has essentially centralized pretty much the control of the internet and a lot of software and hardware out there over the past 30 to 50 years. It's only a handful of companies out there like AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, Microsoft, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. And same thing with anything in the analog world with like food and because like Tyson and Kraft and Procter & Gamble, they all centralized everything. Yeah, you might buy a brand, but they're all owned and controlled by Kellogg or Pepsi or Coke or Procter & Gamble or Unilever or whatever. So when you hear people talking about decentralization, what it means is that you have these, in networking it's called decentralization, and we have nodes. So what I personally advocate for, and what we really need to move to, is a decentralized and distributed system where instead of you having the 1% class owning everything over here on the left where they control everything, we, the 99%, build our own infrastructure and we all build our own systems, our own communities, and we start decentralizing and making our own distributed and decentralized networks. And yeah, it's not going to be easy to do this because, again, big tech and they've centralized the control of the internet. But with the know-how that hardware people have and developers have, we can build our own decentralized systems. And like I said, yeah, we can't throw together a huge data center, but what we can is if we make the effort and we make a collaborative effort and a coordinated effort, what we can do is in homes across all of America and all over the world is that we can start running our own servers. Small steps, step by step, taking small steps, we can do this. And we can do this off the backbone of the existing internet. And when the centralized powers figure out what we're doing, they're going to try and crack down more. Like I said, one step at a time, but if that happens, when that happens, what we can do is we can basically build our own mesh network with Wi-Fi routers. And at that point, that's going to take an organized community effort to build our own Wi-Fi distributed mesh network. So, but I'm very passionate about this because I see what's happening. I see the crackdowns, and I'm going to do a video on what my worst crackdown nightmare is going to be. So watch out for that video. But I just wanted to get this out here while enjoying my coffee, and yeah. So I look forward to doing more content soon. Bye bye.